Hi everyone, it's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Monday. There's already a video up today on the tropical systems that are out there. One that is southeast of the Windward Islands and actually may go so far south it could wind up going into Venezuela. And the other one, which is of a little bit more importance, in the Western Caribbean, that'll soon emerge in the Gulf of Mexico. And that's likely to become a tropical depression or a tropical storm over the next 18 to 24 hours, depending on how quickly it organizes. But this is going to focus on the severe weather outbreak that's going to occur today. We have this large area of risk from well, if you want to include the marginal risk, I mean, it goes pretty much all up and down the eastern seaboard from Georgia to Maine. But we have a very large area of slight risk from western North Carolina on up through most of New England except the immediate coast. And we have the enhanced risk that is from northeastern Virginia on up through most of Maryland, Delaware, eastern Pennsylvania, most of New Jersey except the immediate coast. We've got enhanced risk into the Hudson Valley, the northwestern half of Connecticut, western Massachusetts, southern Vermont, and southwestern New Hampshire. So this is a pretty big area to deal with regards to severe weather later today. And when we look at what's going on the satellite, the signatures are obvious. You've got a cold front that is moving east. Very warm tropical air is moving all the way up the eastern seaboard, and we've got very, very high dew points along the coast here, and that is telling us that the air mass is very saturated. And now we've got the trigger mechanism with the front and a strong upper air storm that's sitting in southeastern Canada with a fairly deep trough that's rotating around it. So all of this is going to come together late this afternoon or early evening from eastern Pennsylvania on to the coastline. Just a quick view of the west. You see weather conditions in the west are fairly tame, which is what you would expect. We've got a trough off the west coast, and that's pushing moisture up into southwestern Canada. You can see some development of thunderstorms back over through parts of Texas is on the back end of that weather front that we just showed you. Now, here's the upper air for this with what's going on in the northeast. And I just want to show you here, this is a very, very deep, strong trough, cold pool of air aloft that is swinging across the Great Lakes and into the northeast. And it actually takes another day or so for that trough to really clear the east. Doesn't really move out until later Tuesday night and Wednesday, and that's because it's being kicked along by yet another trough that is swinging down into south central Canada. So this is the weather pattern that we're in, where we're seeing one system after another just coming into the east, and that means it can get very warm and humid for a day or two, but it can't really get hot for too long. So as far as prolonged heat waves are concerned, you're not going to see it. Let's go real tight. I want to show you the HRRR model and how it sees the thunderstorms for later today. And we've got this developed. You can already see what's on the satellite with what's going on in western Pennsylvania. And by later this afternoon into this evening, this is on the HRRR at 4 o'clock. It's starting to gel up some thunderstorms. You kind of have this broken squall line that moves through right during the evening commute, and then over Long Island, and the storms start to weaken, and a new line, a strong line, starts to develop on the southern end of this that impacts Delaware, Maryland, into Virginia and North Carolina. And in fact, even at 1 a.m., there's more thunderstorms that are bubbling up across New Jersey, southeastern New York, and southern Connecticut. I think this is one of the reasons why we have a flash flood watch for a large area up and down the East Coast for most of New Jersey, easternmost Pennsylvania through the Hudson Valley, New York City, western Long Island, Connecticut, and points northward, because of the fact that the front is so slow moving that you're going to get this first shot that comes through, and then you're going to get this second, potentially the second wave of showers and thunderstorms coming in during the overnight in some places, and that will probably be more of a rain producer than anything else. At least that's the HRRR's view. We'll take a look at the 3-kilometer NAM view, which has a totally different idea to some degree, but it does show a really, usually the 3-kilometer NAM, this is a very, very, has a very tight grid. It's only a 3-kilometer grid, so you've got, data points in a 3-kilometer square here, as opposed to some of the other models where the grids are wider. So you would think that with all that extra data, the model would be more accurate. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but it's particularly useful in these sorts of situations where you are dealing with these small scale thunderstorms that occur over a very, very small area of geography. And this model has a really intense line here by 1 p.m. Running. We'll see how it verifies, running from early afternoon across central Vermont, New York State, kind of lines up with that area of risk, and then, a bit of a break in the line, and then a second line behind that in east central Pennsylvania, and then it moves in full force across New Jersey after 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and then it starts to weaken as it gets near the coastline. Does generate some other cells this evening. Now we're at 11 p.m., and after that, it disappears. So it looks to be like the NAM, the HRRR is faster with the lead line and slower with the second, and the NAM is slower with the lead line and let me start that again, because now I'm getting it backwards. The HRRR is faster with the first line of system storms and slower with the second in the overnight, and the NAM 3-kilometer is in reverse, where it brings the first line in a little slower and then brings that second line that generates to the south a little bit faster. So bottom line from the 3-kilometer NAM would be that tomorrow doesn't look bad at all. You can still see some showers and thunderstorms down to the south, and not much else. So that weather conditions will genuinely improve tomorrow, and we'll see humidity levels come down, and we'll go from there. By the way, here's the NAM's view of that tropical system, the one in the Northwest Caribbean, that it spins around and then just gradually kind of keeps it out there in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not sure what it's going to do beyond 60 hours. I'm thinking it'll probably bring it northward into the Texas coast. If we look at the wider version of the 12-kilometer NAM model, it brings it right in along into North Texas, almost right over Galveston and Houston, and moving northward as a tropical storm, and that would probably be heavy rains from the center of the tropical system on eastward. And you have to wonder, as some of the longer range models are hinting, that some of this moisture is going to be eventually drawn into another cold front that's going to be coming through with that second upper air trough that we talked about. As of midday, I just want to show you the Hurricane Center has not really done much with these two systems. Here is the system out southeast of the Windward Islands, and it's so far south that it may wind up moving inland over Venezuela, where tropical storm warnings have now been issued, and then just dissipate there. I mean, this is just really so unusual. And let me see if we have an updated storm track. You can see the National Hurricane Center kind of skims it right along the north coast of South America. All weather models forecast this thing to dissipate as it moves further to the west. And with respect to the system in the northwestern Caribbean, we have that here. I'll show you on the satellite view. It was fairly disorganized. It's a broad area of low pressure. It's kind of elongated north-south here. You can see it, how it's so all stretched out. There's probably some kind of low center right on the coast of the northeastern corner of the Yucatan. And once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, it may be able to organize. There are gales being reported. There's a broad closed circulation, but we need that to get tighter. We need the stronger winds to tighten up closer to the circulation center, along with a core of thunderstorms around the circulation. And we're not quite seeing that yet, but we may wind up seeing this develop rather quickly once it goes into the Gulf, with the warm water and a fairly favorable setup aloft in order, not a whole lot of shear wind shear going on in the upper layers of the atmosphere. So we'll leave you at that with regards to what's going to happen today. So be extra cautious here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. If you're flying, check with your airline. There'll probably be some severe weather-related travel delays that will develop later this afternoon into tonight from Washington to Philadelphia to Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, Hartford, Boston. That whole corridor, the whole Northeast corridor is going to be impacted by this severe weather. And of course, you've got this tropical system moving into the eventually moving into the Gulf of Mexico this evening and tonight, and all weather models seem to want to develop this into a tropical storm. Latest website posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com. You can get more weather on New York City's perspective with Angry Ben on nycweathernow.com. Long Island weather on weatherlongisland.com. And thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. A number of new subscribers have joined us over the weekend, and I appreciate it. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. If you haven't, do so. It's absolutely free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It doesn't cost you a dime, and you get notifications of videos whenever they get posted. I did post a video on the tropical systems earlier today. You can take a look at that. It's on the channel, and this will be of course, this focus today was on the severe weather on the second video. And we'll see what happens later this afternoon into tonight with all the busy weather that's going on. Have a great day.